Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I have a review for the new Furai model kit, Rodimus IDW version. It's been a good while since I've done one of these model kits, and that's because I'm very picky about them, and so far I've only bought the characters that are based directly on IDW characters, since they've seen little to no representation in the main Transformers line. This is the only way to get like a proper physical manifestation of how that character appeared in the comics. Not including designs in the comics that were just lifted directly from existing toys. So we finally get an official Rodimus, like Captain of the Lost Light, which is, a very popular interpretation of the character. More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light were one of the most well-received books from IDW's initial run of Transformers comics. And none of the actual Hot Rod or Rodimus toys released by Hasbro have really scratched an itch for that version of the character. Interestingly, the Titan's Return toy did have an alternate tooling for his Titan Master, for his head, that looked more like this Rodimus's head, but that was ultimately not used. So now we finally get something that fits the bill. So, if you've seen my reviews before, you know this goes. We're going to take a look at this model's packaging. I'll open it up, we'll take a peek at what's inside, the different sprue sets, the instructions, all that. And then because this is a model, I'm going to assemble the toy off camera, so you're not watching me for like the next 2 hours. But we'll cut back into the finished product and take a look at it, see how nice it looks, check out the posability, the features. Naturally, I'll be doing some group shots and probably comparisons today. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So our new Rodimus model kit comes in a package very reminiscent of the other Furai model stuff, very stylized. You can see Rodimus, striking a battle pose, pointing his little wrist-mounted blasters at something or other. There's this kind of fiery, space-like background that may be the Lost Light kind of peeking in over there on the edge. It's kind of hard to make out. Some kind of structure. Might be a ship. You get your Transformers logo, the character's name, your Furai model and Flame Toys logos up here. The sides, here's just a close-up of his face from the artwork. There's just a wraparound of the rest of the artwork. And then on the back, we get some photos of the toy. Here, we get this blurb talking about the articulation. He has over 50 movable joints, so that's really cool. High level of details, what they're showing off here. Here are the contents. They just say content, but, English is not their first language, so I get that. Then over here, this is interesting. There's a little bit of kind of copyright stuff. So you see Bluefin, right? And Bluefin, they're a company that is known for distributing model kits. But what's interesting is you also see Bandai Namco Group. Now, I'm not sure what that's about. As far as I know, Bandai and Flame Toys are competitors when it comes to, the high detail model kit market. I'm not sure what Bandai has to do with this. Maybe they help distribute it. I'm not really sure. It's interesting to see that on there, though, because Bandai, they're more known for making, like, Gundam and Digimon and, stuff like that. So that's intriguing. I wish I knew more about that. All right, so that's our box. So far, I like what I see. Now, obviously, when you see these, pictures of the toys, they're painted, right? They're touched up. They're going to be more impressive looking than what you get out of the box. One thing, if you're not familiar with Flame Toys, if you haven't seen my other reviews on these, you have colored sprues, right? You have different plastic colors. It's not all monotone, so you don't have to paint the toy if you don't want to. Sorry, the model. They'll look pretty decent on their own and usually have a very full color palette, sometimes supplemented by stickers, sometimes not. And how good they look kind of varies. Some of them end up looking very flat and unfinished if you don't paint them. Some end up looking better. I've heard good things about this kit. People that have gotten a hold of it or, seen it in person say that even without the paint, it still looks really good. So I'm hoping I'm, pleased with that once I put it together, because I honestly just don't have the time, the budget and all that to get the expensive model paints and do all that crazy stuff. Like, I like building these, but I only have so much time on my hands. So yeah, let's go ahead and open up this box now and see everything inside. All right, I've gone and removed the cellophane from around the box, so we can just slide the top up here very carefully. All right, set that aside. All right, the first thing we get the instructions. very, very nicely done. I love the artwork there. Looks very good. It's got this cool smoking gun effect going on. Does he come with the blasters, like the two guns? Oh yeah, he does. That's cool. They didn't. I don't think they showed that off on the package, did they? Maybe they did and I missed it. Okay, here are the instructions out of the wrapper. Very vibrant, very nice looking. All right, right in the front, you get a nice little breakdown of all your parts and pieces, sticker sheet, and then it just goes straight into the assembly instructions. And you can see these are very, very intricate, or maybe not for people that are, like career model builders, but more intricate than like regular Transformers instructions. Tons of steps here, tons of little parts. So it takes some patience and time to put this together. You get your finished product here, shows off some poses, and then here says search for a part, and then this is just instructions for how to remove the part. I get it. Okay, so just general instructions for how to cut them off. I recommend having a little model working kit for this. I have one, which has like your snippers and like a file and some tweezers, which are really good for applying stickers. You can see right here, he does come with a few, which I'm not super crazy about the stickers, but sometimes they look good. He's got Autobot symbols and some other kind of dark gray or blackish detailings. I guess these go on the front of the thighs there. I'm not sure where the rest goes. All right, so that's all pretty cool. Let's take our runners out here. So this is all of our dark gray parts. You can see stuff like his rifles here, some other miscellaneous bits and pieces. A lot of the dark gray is going to be inner workings. Usually the inner workings of these guys are, done up in some sort of metallic color. Here's the yellow. You can see like his chest, his spoiler wings, his hands, nice bright colors. The light gray is pretty much like exhaust and all that. You get this bit of blue right here, which I guess is that painted? It's painted metallic blue, and I believe that's the eyes. Some other miscellaneous yellow stuff. Kneecaps, maybe? Something. Here's your orange. Two different shades of orange. So you get a reddish orange here, for like the thighs and stuff, and then a more natural orange. And then the red. And of course, you'd expect there to be a lot of red on Hot Rod. So you got a few different runners here of red. Very bright looking. And that's it. So, about the usual loadout. The last model kit I built was Drift. And Drift was interesting because he came with many extra parts that allowed you to customize the character, allowed you to swap out a lot of his white parts for black and vice versa. For this model kit, they don't do that. It's just, as far as I know, just the one set of parts. I mean, he'll have interchangeable hands and stuff. It's probably why this toy is about $10 cheaper than Drift was too, right? This retails at about 40. Drift was 50. The Megatron was 52. Not 52, but 50 also. Even though he really only came with like one set of parts. Not sure. I'm really not sure how their pricing works, because it kind of seems to be all over the place. Might be due to complexity, popularity, I'm not sure. Okay, so we've looked inside. I'm going to go ahead and cut away. I'll see you guys in, I don't know, an hour or two. I've gotten pretty good building these things, so it shouldn't take me too long. And when I get done, we'll take a look at the finished product and have some fun. And here, after several hours, we finally get our finished product. And I gotta say, this guy looks absolutely phenomenal. The colors, despite being flat, work very well for him, and honestly kind of evoke the color work done in the More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light comics. Sometimes, obviously, different artists, but I really like the way the pale yellow kind of works against his red there. And you can see he's just very, very highly detailed. He's got lots of sharp angles and points and everything. So just aesthetically, he's really, really great. And then you get into the posability, and he's got everything you'd want. He's got the ball-jointed head. He's got shoulders that lift out, arms swing up. These even have a little bit of a kind of swivel on them, or hinge, just so they can move and make clearance. His back wings are on hinges so that they can move backwards to give him room for his shoulders and arms and stuff. He's got the elbow bend, the bicep swivel. He's got a wrist swivel. So he's got two different hands equipped. He's got one gun-wielding hand and one open hand. Got his little exhaust pipe blasters on the forearms, which do come off fairly easily. And I wonder if they're meant to be detachable. Not sure. I mean, they stay on well enough. It's not like they're going to pop off, but I think maybe they're meant to come off in case you want to remove them. He's got the ball joint here, in the middle of his torso. Got a swivel here. He's got little skirt flap things that can lift up to give him extra clearance. Got universal hips. Got thigh swivel, though it's a little bit limited by clearance, but you can get a good amount here. He's got the double bend knees that you come to expect from such a product. Well, maybe not. Oh, well, excuse me, I'm a liar. He seems to only have single bend knees. That's different. That's interesting. Wow, I'm surprised. All right, well, I take that back. He does not have double bend knees. Huh. All right, well, he's got the full ankle pivot and tilt and all that stuff, and rotate. He does have the double bend elbows. I forgot to mention those, but they're there. So, wow, that's actually kind of surprising that he doesn't have the double knees, because Flame Toys, they're pretty good about that kind of stuff. Huh, that's odd. Unless I'm doing something wrong. Looks like he doesn't have them. The only structural issue I have with this guy is that his little knee ornaments here, they are very prone to popping off. See that? Like, they plug in just fine, and they'll stay in, but when you manipulate them, they tend to wiggle around a bit, and they can fall out. So just be aware of that. I didn't use any glue for this, because glue is not supposed to be required, but if I were to recommend any one spot to glue, it would be these knee ornaments, just to keep them from coming off, wiggling around. So overall, I really like what we get. The stickers work out well. He's got the silver on the head crest, obviously the Autobot symbol, and then most of the other sticker work is just a bunch of black. You got the little dots on his thighs, and then you get some black stripes here on the hip skirts, and then some black underneath, which is kind of hard to see, but there you go. Now, they stayed on pretty well. This one, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little end bit of the sticker that has to fold over a corner. And whenever that happens, you run the risk of it not wanting to stay stuck to the plastic. Stickers have a hard time making around deep bends like that. And on this side, that little tip does stick off a little bit. Though luckily it doesn't seem to get in the way of anything, so you shouldn't have any issues with it rubbing off. And it's hidden, 90% of the time anyway, so. It's unfortunate. I mean, I guess you could always glue that end on there if you really want to make it stick. But overall, I think the stickers, they're very minimalist. Because anytime you are dealing with stickers, you are dealing with the potential for them to get rubbed off, for them to get messed up. So I like the minimalist approach to stickers. And then, of course, you can't forget about his weapon here. You can see that it's in this little gun-holding hand. I can take that off for you. And to get the weapon in, you actually have to take the hand apart. Luckily, it pops apart pretty easily. So that's how you get that in and out of there. And then the weapon itself actually splits into two, much like the original Hot Rod toy. So that's a really neat touch. You can choose to have one long rifle. You can have him dual-wield two of his rifles. You get a lot of choices here. And we saw the trigger hand and the open hand here. You also have the closed-fisted options if you'd rather something a little more, aggressive in your posing. Maybe he's, clenching his fist at something. So he doesn't want for play value, and he feels, honestly, the sturdiest out of all of the Flame Toys models I've put together so far. And he's not even the most expensive one. The Drift and Megatron models that I put together previously, those were both $50. This guy comes in about $5 to $10 less than that. And honestly, he feels like the highest quality one that I've put together. So I'd say that is a good sign that Flame Toys is really starting to master their craft here, because I know in the past people have complained that the model kits they've put together have been flimsy. They say that they get loose over time. I haven't had any issues with loosening per se, but they never did feel equivalent to like a $35, $40 action figure. This guy, I can honestly say, he feels right. All of his parts stick the way they're supposed to. He doesn't wobble or anything. So I really think that this is a very good build. Here's a fun little group shot with all of the IDW characters that Flame Toys has done so far. So the very first one was your IDW Optimus Prime. And this is based on his about mid-season appearance in the comics. And then you get Autobot Megatron, depicting the reformed Decepticon leader after he joined the crew of the Lost Light. And then you get Drift, who was the most recent toy before Rodimus to come out in the IDW series of their models. And I gotta say, they really work together. They're all stylized takes on their classic G1 appearances. Well, minus Drift, because he was, original with the comics. I will say that Rodimus is probably the most stylized out of the bunch. Like, you can look at Optimus, you can look at Megatron, and probably immediately be like, oh yeah, that's those guys from that 80s cartoon. Rodimus, he's a little bit different because neither of the characters' original forms, whether it was Hot Rod or Rodimus Prime, was quite so ornate looking. He was much more of the blocky G1 aesthetic that these guys are a little bit closer to. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that really makes him stand out, and that makes this model just that much more unique compared to the Hot Rod and Rodimus toys that we've received in the past. We've never got one that even came close to approximating how the character appeared in the, I guess you'd call it second season and onward of the IDW comics. Earlier in the comics, Hot Rod just looked like G1 Hot Rod. But once More Than Meets the Eye came out, they gave him a very unique and stylized design to, I guess, just help set the tone for that series. So I will say, I personally wish that Flame Toys would put more time and more focus on the IDW characters, because in the years they've been around, these are the only 4 we've received so far, not counting, recolors and stuff. And I would like to see what they could do with some other characters. Like, I'd love maybe a Rung, or a proper Rung model kit. Like, yeah, we got a Battlemaster Rung, but I mean, that really isn't going to scratch that itch for anybody. Or we could do all sorts of other interesting stuff. We could do Pharma, we could do Tyrest, like all those really cool, unique designs that came from the first run of IDW comics. And I emphasize the first run because the second run that started in 2019 has pretty exclusively stuck to toy-based designs, especially like contemporary toys. Some small exceptions here and there, but it mainly sticks to, what's on shelves or recently was on shelves. The first run of IDW comics was much more liberal in its use of the designs, and they were allowed to kind of flex their creative muscles a bit more when it came to designing these characters. And that's now a bygone era, which I think is a shame personally. I really love the original IDW stuff, at least up to a certain point. But yeah, I am curious to see what we're going to see next from these guys, if anything. I mean, it's getting to the point now to where that initial continuity is becoming a distant memory, and I don't know how much more time they're going to invest in it. Rodimus may be the last one we get in this style, so we'll have to see. I do expect this guy to be recolored at least one time, and if I had to guess, the likely choice would be his black, purple, and blue design that he had during the initial run of the Lost Light comics. And I'd probably buy that one because it is a canonical representation of the character. Like Optimus, he's gotten a Nemesis Prime recolor and all that, but that never actually appeared in the comics. At least not a version of Nemesis Prime that looked like that. And then the Megatron, the only thing they've done with him is they released the same toy, but with a Decepticon sticker. That was the only difference, and really was not worth the extra $50. I don't know if this Drift model got any recolors. I know the high-end figure did, got the Shattered Glass treatment. I don't recall there being a Shattered Glass model kit. I could be wrong, though. And this completes our look at the new Furai model Rodimus. Overall, I'm very, very happy with the way this thing turned out. I think the tolerances are fantastic. It feels like an actual action figure. The build was a lot of fun. The value is great because it's about $10 cheaper than the last two that I've put together, but doesn't feel any lesser than those two. And the design is just fantastic. I love the minimalist approach to the stickers. I think the less stickers on a model kit, the better, because they tend to come off and not look so great. Really, all you get is, you get the head crest, the Autobot symbol, and then a little bit of black here. And the black can easily be replaced by paint if you're feeling up to it. Shouldn't be too hard to pull off. The Autobot symbol is kind of a necessity, and then the head crest, it works well enough to where you don't need to replace it, but you could always paint it if you so choose. I really like that we are finally getting this design for Rodimus in some official capacity. Yeah, I know there have been plenty of third-party attempts over the years, but they're expensive, and I personally don't collect third-party stuff. I'm all about the official things, at least for now. So I'm happy we finally get this. And for $40, I consider this a worthwhile buy, just for the fun of putting it together and the end product. So they're coming out in the US right now. You should be able to find them at GameStop, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, all that. And personally, I recommend picking this up if you have any love of the IDW Rodimus design, or you just like the Transformers model kits, because this is, I think, the best one that I've put together so far. Of course, that is just my take on this model kit. Now I want to know what you all think of it. Do you have any interest in this? Do you like the IDW Rodimus design or the More Than Meets the Eye design? Do you like Transformers model kits, or is this not for you, either because you don't like IDW, you don't like, non-transforming Transformers? Any and all feedback's always welcome in the comment section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the new Flame Toys Furai model Rodimus IDW version. And with all that said, I will see you next time.